As the night deepened, the flickering candlelight danced on Grandma Hala's wrinkled face, casting dancing shadows on the wall behind her. Her two grandchildren, Omar and Mena, snuggled closer to her, their eyes shining with wonder. They were captivated by the tales of kindness and magic that their beloved grandmother wove with every passing moment. But suddenly, Mena stirred, her gaze fixed on something beyond the window. "Look, Omar," she whispered, pointing to the darkness outside. "It looks like someone is walking towards our house." A tall figure soon appeared at the door, their face hidden in the shadows. Mena and Omar watched, their hearts pounding in their chests, as the visitor knocked softly on the door. The sound echoed through the room like a drumbeat. Grandma Hala, ever quick to welcome guests, rose from her chair to open the door. When she did, a gust of wind rushed in, causing the candle flame to flicker wildly before settling down once more. Standing in front of them was a young man with sad eyes and a worn coat. His shoulders were hunched as if carrying a heavy burden. "Welcome, traveler," said Grandma Hala, her voice warm and inviting. "What brings you to our humble home on this cold winter's night?" The man hesitated for a moment before answering. "I'm sorry to bother you, Mom, but I was hoping to seek shelter from the cold. If you would allow me to rest here until morning, I would be eternally grateful." He looked down at his worn boots, unable to meet their gazes. "Of course," replied Grandma Hala, ushering him inside. "Come in, warm yourself by the fire. We would be happy to have your company." She turned to her grandchildren, who were watching the stranger with wide eyes. "Omar, Mina, why don't you offer our guest some water and fresh figs? He must be parched and hungry after his long journey." The children nodded and quickly brought the refreshments to the man, who accepted them with a grateful smile. As he sipped the water, he looked up and noticed the two pairs of curious eyes staring at him. "Do you mind if I ask you a question?" he asked gently. "Of course not," replied Mena. "What is it?" The man hesitated, then asked, "Are you happy?" The children exchanged glances, puzzled by the unexpected question. "Of course we are," said Omar. "Why wouldn't we be happy?" The man looked at them for a moment, then let out a soft sigh. "Sometimes," he said, "it's hard to be happy when you have nothing." He explained how he had left his home village in search of work, but had been unsuccessful in finding employment. He grew more disheartened with each passing day and had started to feel hopeless. Mena couldn't understand why this grown man would lie to them. She turned to her grandmother, whispering, "Grandma, the man is lying. How can he say he has nothing when he has a coat and shoes? And look, he even has a bag with him." But instead of chiding Mena for being rude, Grandma Hala approached the man with a kind smile. "You seem like a hard-working young man, and I believe you're going through a difficult time. But I also sense that your troubles run deeper than just needing a job. What's troubling you, my son?" The man was taken aback by her insight and found himself opening up to her. He shared how his younger sister had fallen ill and needed medicine that their family couldn't afford. He had decided to leave their village in hopes of finding work and returning with enough money to save her life. Touched by his story, Grandma Hala placed a comforting hand on his shoulder. "Don't worry, my son. You've come to the right place. You can stay here as long as you need to get back on your feet." Relieved and grateful, the man thanked her profusely. Just then, Omar piped up. "He doesn't need to work for us, Grandma. I don't need this money anyway." He Rum family gathered around the table, sharing stories and laughter. The man, whose name they learned was Youssef, was surprised and touched by their kindness. He felt a glimmer of hope rekindled within him, reminding him of the goodness that still existed in the world. As the night deepened, the conversation turned to happier topics. Youssef, feeling comfortable in their company, began to share funny anecdotes about his travels. He told them about the different places he'd visited, the people he'd met, and the challenges he'd overcome. The children listened with wide eyes, hanging on to his every word. Meanwhile, Grandma Hala watched them, a soft smile gracing her lips. She knew that these moments of joy and connection were exactly what her grandchildren needed. Their innocent laughter echoed through the house, mingling with the crackling fire and creating a symphony of warmth and contentment. But amidst the merriment, a sense of responsibility began to stir within Omar and Mena. They thought about Yusef's difficult situation and wanted to help him in any way they could. So while Yusef was sharing a particularly hilarious story, the children excused themselves and whispered their plan. "I'll sell my toys and games," said Omar, "and I'll sell my dolls and accessories," added Mena. They were determined to use whatever money they earned to help Yusef buy medicine for his sister. With renewed determination, they raced to their rooms to gather their possessions. They carefully selected the items they could part with, trying to choose those that Yusef would find most useful. Soon, they returned to the living room with their treasures, placing them neatly on the table. Yusef, noticing their actions, stopped his story and looked at them questioningly. "We want to help you," said Mena. "You can have all of these for free." Yusef's eyes widened in surprise. "But why? I don't want your things," he insisted, realizing that they had innocent hearts. "Well, then buy something for your sister with the money," suggested Omar. Yusef understood their intentions and his heart swelled with gratitude. The next morning, after saying goodbye to their new friend, the children set off on their mission to sell their treasures. They walked from house to house, their voices ringing out with enthusiasm as they offered their possessions to passers-by. Some people smiled at their innocence and purchased their items, while others simply shook their heads and continued on their way. But the children didn't let this discourage them. They kept trying, believing that every small step brought them closer to their goal. Meanwhile, Yusef, staying true to his word, began helping around the house. He chopped wood, carried water, and mended the fence, working tirelessly to contribute in any way he could. Each evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, he sat by the fire, listening to the stories and laughter of the family. He felt a sense of belonging grow within him, a feeling he had missed so much during his travels. As days turned into weeks, Omar and Mena became known in their community for their persistence and kindness. People would often stop by just to chat with them or buy something from their collection because they admired their spirit. Finally, with their pockets full of coins, the children ran to the house, eager to hand over their earnings to Yusef. When he saw their smiling faces and heard their footsteps, a wave of happiness washed over him. He opened the door and they fell into a tight embrace, their laughter echoing through the house. Yusef, with the children's help, was able to purchase the medicine his sister needed. And not only that, but he also had enough money to buy food and warm clothes for her. Overjoyed, he wrote a letter to his family, thanking them for their support and promising to return home soon. Before leaving, he organized a farewell party, inviting his friends and neighbors to celebrate their newfound happiness together. And as the years went by, Omar and Mena never forgot the valuable lesson they learned that winter. Through their acts of kindness, they had not only helped someone in need, but also gained a true friend and a deeper understanding of the importance of compassion.